I climbed a mountain. And when I tell you I actually feared for my life, that is an understatement. But despite myself thinking I was going to die many times, there was one point in particular where actually I was this close to ending it all, and this close is being serious. That is not an understatement. Let's go. So in this video, I'm going to basically tell you my experience and a couple things I walked away with. But first, I want you to understand the actual scale of this mountain. I climbed a kilometer in pitch black, and that's not even like the actual distance. I climbed a kilometer in pitch black, and I'll put some videos on the screen what that looked like. I did this with my friends, a group of 7 people. 2 a.m., pitch black. I'm telling you pitch black, but we had flashlights, right? Pitch black. We were in the forest. And we climbed a kilometer in pitch black, meaning that we actually got to the top when the sun was rising. While we were climbing over here, it wasn't so bad. It was kind of steep. I honestly didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest. Because I just didn't really know. I'm not a hiker. So anyways, we were going up around like the area. This is not an understatement, by the way. It basically was like this in comparison to the rest of the mountain. But anyways, all of us together, we were going up, and I was actually, I was thinking, okay, I've been bulking, maybe my cardio is kind of bad. No. Oh my god, I'm an actual super soldier. I had to like wait for my friends to keep up a lot of the time because, my entire method, the super soldier method, link in description. I can bench 325, I can squat 405, and I have good cardiovascular health. So anyways, link in description. Once we got to the rocky area, things were kind of odd because when we started climbing, we started to kind of lock in, like we were making jokes. But what ended up happening was that we would look behind us and we didn't know how far we would fall. We didn't know how far we would fall, and there were points where we were just climbing gravel. Now, obviously, the trick to this is that you needed to actually go for the hard rocks, the rocks that were like hopefully a part of the mountain, but then also just heavier ones so that they wouldn't fall. And you also had to call like rocks, like if someone was behind you, you didn't want them to get hurt. So anyways, we were climbing, and occasionally I would like look behind me because I was like waiting for my friends. And I would just see the abyss, and I was just nervous, is what I'm saying. But that's not even the worst part. When we got over, let's say around like to this area, this is the part where I have marked as courage. So I talked about the physical fitness, me actually being very, very primed because I train really, really smart, and I'm strong and I got good cardio. When I talk to you about courage, I have to mention that courage is not the absence of fear. I was probably scared shitless. Like, I was really, really scared because there were parts that it was just gravel and you had to go kind of quick, or else if you stayed there, then you would like slip and fall down. You didn't know how far you were going to fall down. But here is kind of where our group we reached close to the summit. The summit was about 300 or 400 meters away. I'm talking like hypotenuse route. So like this way and that way, both 300, 400 meters. What was really nerve-wracking about it is that most of us stopped here. About half of us stopped here. Over here, left side was a steepness of like this. There was like some nice grace period over here, like around the part where most of us stopped, like half of the group stopped. But over here was like a steepness, and then it would go like this, steep like this, and then sometimes it was like a wall that we had to literally like rock climb. Crazy part about this is too, that once I cleared the part that was actually safe, and I was with my friend, and I'm sorry if I'm not telling the story like with justice, because I was genuinely so afraid, and I'm still kind of shell-shocked. We climbed to this last area where basically the mountain was, and the reason why there was not a trail at this point. There was not a trail, we had to make our own trail. And so what happened is that not only were my legs cramping like crazy, my friend's legs were also cramping. His were probably worse than mine. This was the beginning of my cut also. So I'm like super carb depleted. And anyways, one side is like that, to the bottom of the mountain. I'm telling you, steep to the bottom of the mountain. And then the other side is like that. And we can see little trees there, and the trees look like grass because they are so far away. And so if we slip to the right, we die. It is actual instant death. And oh god. And then if we slip to the left, it's more dangerous, but basically we end up tumbling the whole time. I ended up getting over here. There was this last little section. Right now, I'm about 50 meters away from the summit. My friend, I didn't think he was going to actually come with me because he was telling me, oh, Daniel, should I do this? Like, I don't know if I should do this. And honestly, I told him, you have to make that decision for yourself because honestly, I was afraid. I couldn't tell him to actually come with me because I wasn't sure if I was gonna live. I'm not even bullshitting with you. And so around over here, I'm nervous, I'm really scared, and I'm alone. I'm alone because my friend, he's not there anymore. He's like stayed behind, and I just seem to be like making a little bit faster pace. And so right now I'm over here, and I cross this little section. So imagine I'm going like, I'm climbing, but then I have to like climb like kind of vertical to the side, and then now I'm facing this way, and the summit is that way. 50 meters away. The incline is like this, and it's literally just gravel. And I see my friend's head pop. Not pop explode, but like I see him, my friend, like his little curly hair like pop out in the side. So now I know I'm not alone, but I also now know that both of us are having leg cramps, and we have to rely on our arms. And so here is the moment where there's 50 meters away, and at this point we are not in a safe position. We see to one side is actually just like a drop like that, and like if we slip, we tumble down the whole mountain because it goes like this, and then it's vertical for a little bit, about like 5 meters, and then it goes like straight down the mountain. And now it's gravel. And so we're climbing, we're both getting cramps. And at this point, my friend, he finds a ledge, and he's like, his legs are contorting and twisting like I've never seen before because he's getting cramps. He's got cramps like he's got tetanus, and his legs are like twisting and like contorting, and he's screaming like horrible shouts of pain. And later we find out our friends thought we were actually dying, that we got impaled or some shit, like the ones that had stayed behind. And so then we were, I got kind of like overcame with something. So I knew that if I stopped for even a second, my legs would cramp so hard that I would not be able to use them. Because this is what happened to my friend, except he had found a place that was somewhat safe. Somewhat safe in the way that he was there, but he also couldn't move much because if he succumbed to the pain of the cramps and moved even just a little bit faster, he would have tumbled down the cliff. And so I'm climbing, and at this point I'm sprinting up the gravel. I'm sprinting, and I'm like scared, but I'm not even thinking about it. It's literally just primal emotions, and I'm literally like jumping and like clinging off. I'm like screaming. I literally only see red. I'm like, it felt like an animal at that point. And so I'm like scaling it. I know that if I even for a second stop, I am going to tumble down because I've got so much momentum that I just won't be able to catch anything else. So I just keep going, and at the very moment when I think my legs are gonna give out, a wave of bliss rushes my body because I see the sunrise. And this sunrise, momentary bliss, like literally 10 seconds of not having any cramps in my body, and then they came back. but really, I got to the top of the summit.
You turn down that exposure. Come on, come on. What is that? Oh, it's a book.
What do you find the dirt is?
And oh my goodness, I was so hungry.
I want a sandwich.
And because I was staying behind helping my friend get up, one of our other friends was like already there. Two of them actually, because they went together. And so I was waiting for my friend, and over there, like, I tell one of my friends over here to like, oh my god, do you guys have anything, like any electrolytes, any drinks? And mind you, I'm like so thirsty, and they have like like iced tea left, because one of the guys brought iced tea, and I tell him, okay, you gotta go bring him the iced tea. And so then like I sit down, and then I see my friend, he gets the iced tea and everything, and then like we all end up coming up, and that's great. But that's not the part I almost died. The part I almost died was on the way down. And at this point, everybody's being kind of slow, but I just want to leave. I just want to get down. The part I almost died was when we were coming down, and you can imagine it's all gravelly. I'm a 220-pound male, and my legs are so in pain. I'm at this point where there's gravel. Over here, there's certain death if I slip. And I literally have to climb down. And there's gravel. And so I'm looking for like the really big rocks that I can grab to, the ones that are attached to the cliff, hopefully. I grab on to this rock. And I remember before I grabbed onto this rock, I had like looked and I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is actually like pretty dangerous. I don't want to do this again. I grab onto the rock and I have my weight on it, so I let go of another one. It snaps off the cliff. It snaps, and instantly my entire life flashes before my eyes. I'm like, oh my god. I start falling, and it feels like an eternity. I fall 5 meters probably, and I catch something else. And even though I was building a momentum, I had the strength from all of my training, all of everything that I've done, and all of the persistence, the consistency of my program. And I grabbed myself from here, and I was able to shimmy myself over here, and I grabbed onto the rest, and I was able to like slowly get down. My heart was beating so fast. And throughout this, I was thinking like, okay, I want to make evidence for the man I want to become. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling fear and overcoming it. And if I can overcome that, then I show myself I have more evidence. And because this is a hormonal optimization channel, and I speak about testosterone a lot. Testosterone allows you to be more competitive. That is why it biologically exists, but so many people have it wrong. So many people, they are trying to increase their testosterone through ways that are more of like an effect. They're saying, oh, I have low testosterone. I need to actually do something to actually fix my testosterone, except they're focusing on the fact that they don't have high testosterone. And they start doing stuff, but a lot of the time it doesn't work for them because it's not completely about what you do. It's about who you are. So many of these guys are trying to change an effect with an effect. And that doesn't make any fucking sense. You will have higher levels of testosterone. You will build muscle faster, have better cardio, and be able to think more clearly and make better decisions and be able to deal with more fear if you need to, if you have to. And this is the most important part of the video. Your testosterone comes to you like a blessing from above. You feel the life force coursing through your veins because it is necessary for you to actually survive and get to the place that you want to get to. When you are at the point where you are taking action, there is no backing out of it. That is the point when you know who you are. When the ending is unknown and the distance is unknown and you recommit, that is when you know who you are. That is when you are blessed with the life force in your veins because you have to make the right decision. You have to act like an expert because there is no other way. When you can get to that point where it's not about the actions you take, it's about the man you are and the competitiveness you feel with not necessarily everyone else, while that is still great and healthy. The competitiveness you have for yourself. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm just competing with myself. I'm saying you have to have this competitive drive to actually overcome yourself because it is who you are. There's a point where, yeah, you can do the things to have courage and stuff like that. You can do the things to have higher testosterone levels, to actually be the man your heart has this vision for you to become. But ultimately, you need to understand that if you in your head, while you are climbing this mountain, metaphorically, if you think of yourself as like, no, I am not the man that stops when he is this close. I am not the man who would succumb to his fear. I am not the man who, when he was this close to the top of the mountain I have chosen to scale, I am not the man who would quit this close and wonder if he would have ever been capable of doing it. Now, obviously, don't be stupid. Don't do things that might actually kill you. But whatever you decide to do it to the very poetry of your being. And when you take the action, when you take that action, you will be blessed with the life force energy. You will make the right decisions. You will get into the flow state. And that is where the magic really happens. That is when you get that momentary bliss of hitting a new bench PR, hitting that milestone of the amount of money you wanted to make that month, or even getting to the top of an actual mountain. I was so proud of my friend too when he actually made the choice, because I could see this whole process happening in his head, all of the evidence he had to make for himself, all of the discipline he had to make for himself, the courage he had for himself. I was so proud of him because nobody's ever going to know just how much he locked in that moment. Because honestly, I know both of us were scared shitless. We were both so nervous. We were both going through similar things with our legs cramping like crazy. But you know what? He did it. We both got to the top of that mountain. We both didn't think that we were gonna make it, but we made it happen. And I'm grateful. This guy is in our community too, in the description below. And to tell you what, if you want to optimize your testosterone, you want to have the kind of body that you can actually count on to get you in these situations from point A to point B, and to actually trust yourself and feel the life force energy you have within by taking action and having a community of people who have been able to push past their fear, to actually have the courage, to cultivate the courage, the discipline, the consistency. The people who can scale those mountains, because it's not just about the mountain, it's about the type of person you are who was able to do that. If you want to be surrounded by a group of people like that, you want to get strong, aesthetic, big, lean, you want to be able to trust your body and actually have the health and vitality of a high testosterone man, link in description. Now like the video, bro, because you might have not have been able to see this if things went another way for me. Alright, bro. Link in description.